Author's Pass. Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Richardson and I'm from Author's Press. Today is November 19th, 2021, and I'm gathered here with Roland Zimany, the author of Sermons with Insight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Roland?
Well, let's see. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to Princeton for college, then went to New York City and was working in business and government for about 14 years. Made a big switch after that point to go to Union Theological Seminary in New York and then down to Duke for a PhD in religion. Before I got that PhD, I spent a year in Germany studying with a theologian there. And then was professor of philosophy and religion at Blackburn College in Carlinville, Illinois for, I think about 14 years. The interesting thing there is it was a small school, and at the time, it was getting so small that they decided anyone who wasn't offering a major in their program, they'd have to get rid of. Well, I was the philosophy and religion department. I was offering, I think, 7 or 8 different courses, but it didn't add up to being a major. So at that point, I said, all right, let's see how what I know from an intellectual point of view would apply to a local congregation. And I took the steps to get myself ordained as a Lutheran minister. And that's what you can blame for this book, because the book is essentially a collection of sermons I gave over the years that I thought were very good.
I am not very religious at all, so I'm not educated on it at all. What exactly is a sermon?
A speech, usually about a 20-minute talk.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. So, because like I said, I'm not religious. My parents never forced me to go to church. They offered it to me, but I was never interested. So I just was never interested, and I do enjoy learning about it, but never actually went myself. So I'm not too educated.
Well, immerse yourself in the event of going to church sometime. It really won't hurt.
I have been, but I was like not even double digits yet. So it's been so long that I think it would be worth going again to get the experience as an adult and not as a kid. Mm-hmm. So anyways, on to my first question. Okay. What is the main message you want to get across to your readers?
That they can get insights from the Bible into what's most important in any person's life. I would say what God wants them to do. One of the troubles with using the word God is we sort of create this larger than life figure who's sort of like human and then has thoughts that he wants to talk to us about. My guess is that's not exactly what we mean by God. But if you say, what is the best that a person can do, that's kind of what the book wants you to learn about and be sort of nudged into doing.
What does literary success look like to you?
Literary success.
Like, what makes you feel like you've become successful as an author?
I would say that a lot of people are buying the book. That would be my
making
answer.
Sales. To you, making sales is literary success.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Were you an adult or were you a child when you wrote your first book or your first story?
Well, I know I have written stories, probably not any earlier, probably not until college age. So I wasn't a story writer. So let's say college age. was my first story.
About after high school. Okay, I see.
That's right.
I told you earlier, but not during the recording, that I was 11 years old when I wrote my first story. So that, a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Is your book a standalone, or will it be a part of a series?
It's a standalone.
Okay. And what is your biggest source of inspiration?
Well, I guess the standard answer has to be God, the Spirit of God guiding me through sections of the Bible that made me see things that I thought are worth elaborating on and bringing to other people's attention.
So to me, it sounds like your biggest source of inspiration may not necessarily be God himself or themselves, or but more teaching people about God is what it sounds like to me.
Well, that's what prompts me to say what I'm saying, but it isn't what gets me to say what I say. I mean, Okay,
I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. What was the hardest part of writing this story?
I would say there was no hard part, because this is a collection of sermons. I deliver one per week over like a 5-year period. If you want to make it hard, the thing is going over these old sermons and picking out ones that I thought were especially good. So it was, identifying which sermons would get into the book. But I wouldn't call that hard, but it is what I had to do.
Not hard, but it wasn't the easiest part. So I have a question, not necessarily one of the interview questions, but do you record your sermons or have somebody write them for you?
Neither.
Neither?
Right. Either I write them for myself, or I make notes, sort of create an outline and go over those notes without all of the wording, and just sort of make up what to say every time I see the notes and preach the sermon that way.
You kind of wing it sounds like.
Yeah, you're right.
What was your favorite part of writing this book?
Being pleased with the sermons that I picked to put in the book, I guess.
So the actual content itself was your favorite part?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think you've convinced me to go through and read it, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the good thing is, you read about 4 or 5 pages at a time. That's the sermon. You put it down and do another one some other time. So it is a way of getting through the book slowly, but you do get through it all if you keep going.
Like I said earlier, I am not heavily religious myself. I'm not too educated on going to church, but the idea of reading a speech given at church, I like that a lot more than actually going, because I can read it at my own pace. I can reread if I need to. I can go back. I can annotate and take notes, things like that. That's why I really like the idea of your book.
Be sure you buy the book.
Who is your target audience?
Well, I guess the people I would most expect to possibly read the book are what I call fundamentalists or literalists, people who are Christian, who read the Bible, sort of think that it could be understood literally based on what the words happen to mean at the time it was written, and often miss out on some of the metaphorical aspects of the language. My target is to get people like that exposed to different ways of interpreting biblical passages than they have probably seen before.
What did your family think about your writing?
I think they would say, "Fine, go for it." I mean, they didn't have any strong feeling one way or the other. Although, when my wife read, well, she didn't have to read the sermons to know that she said, you do good sermons. So she, you know, it didn't surprise her that maybe I put them together into a book.
And I've kind of already touched on this earlier, but as a child, did you know you were going to become a writer?
No.
No clue?
Yeah, no clue. That's correct.
And I have touched on this earlier. Some people have the passion of writing from a very young age. So they start writing at a young age and they build on it through their childhood. And some people start later. So I think it's really cool to learn about people's different writing journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where can readers find out more about you and your books?
Amazon and some of those other places where you can get books would have them available. Authors Press has been advertising the book.
Yeah, but that does lead me to my last question. How do you feel about working with Authors Press?
I like the way they keep coming up with what strikes me as new ideas for publicizing my book, making it known, and providing advertising of different sorts so that people can be aware of the book. They do a really fine job of that.
Yeah, I'm glad we can publicize your book to your liking. I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Roland.
Okay, well, thanks for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to Authors Press either through our email address or via our phone number. But that's all. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Well, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I hope we can do another one.